You've tried everything. You've read the books, said the prayers, changed your habits, reorganized your entire life. And still, that obstacle remains. It's not laziness. It's not a lack of faith. It's that there are barriers you weren't designed to break down alone. There's a specific kind of stuckness that only dissolves when you stop fighting and learn to rest in God's process. What if I told you the solution isn't in trying harder, but in letting go of control in a way your rational mind would never accept? The pattern that's been chasing you for years, that feeling of always being one step away from breakthrough but never quite getting there, is not a coincidence. It was a temporary preparation device, and its time is up. The problem is, you're blocking its removal with the same energy you used to try and solve it. God built something tailor-made for what you need, but as long as your hands are gripping the steering wheel, He can't install it. Today, you'll understand why true rest isn't passivity, but the most active form of spiritual collaboration there is. Let's get straight to the symptom. You wake up tired even after 8 hours of sleep. It's not physical fatigue, it's that internal weight, as if you're carrying an invisible backpack full of rocks. You have your coffee, open your phone, and within the first 5 minutes of the day you feel the familiar pressure. The mental list of unresolved problems, the conversations that went wrong, the projects that are stuck. There's something specific that's been haunting you. It could be financial, relational, professional, or that diffuse feeling that you were born for something greater, but you're stuck in a cycle too small for your soul. You've tried planning better. You've woken up at 5 in the morning to gain more control of your day. You've done therapy, listened to podcasts, talked to friends, and it works for a week, maybe 2. Then, the pattern returns, like a stretched rubber band that always snaps back to its original shape. You start to think the problem is you, that you lack discipline, faith, or some secret ingredient everyone else has but you. But here's the truth nobody told you. You're fighting something that wasn't designed to be overcome by human effort. Stanford University studies on neuroplasticity show that deep patterns of behavior and emotional response don't change by willpower alone. They require a reorganization at the nervous system level, something that happens when you get out of constant fight mode. Researchers at USP studying chronic stress have identified that the human body has a self-sabotage mechanism.
Attention, you need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life, a guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming, with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you, and strengthen your mind, also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10,000 readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you, who were tired of living in the fog, ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment.
The more you try to control everything, the more the nervous system interprets the situation as a threat, and the more it traps you in survival patterns. Now pay attention to this, because this is where the story changes. If you're identifying with what I just described, hit the like button on this video now. This simple gesture helps me continue bringing content that truly transforms, and it helps you mark this moment as a turning point. Because what follows will challenge everything you've been taught about problem solving. The obstacle you face isn't a random enemy. It was built with purpose. It'll show you this through a figure few truly understand. Jacob, not the Jacob of children's stories, but the real man who spent 20 years working for a manipulative father-in-law, being repeatedly cheated, accumulating wealth but never feeling peace. He had everything he wanted on paper, but carried an internal weight that no external achievement resolved. A trauma of origin, an old guilt, a fear that had been haunting him since he deceived his own brother decades earlier. Jacob tried to solve it the way most of us do, by working more, accumulating more, controlling more, and it worked to create a functional life, but not inner freedom, until he reached a point of total crisis. It's in Genesis 32. He's returning to his homeland, and he knows he's going to meet the brother he swore to kill. There's nowhere left to run. All the plans, all the strategy, all the negotiation won't work this time. He sends his family ahead and stays alone through the night. And it's there, in that moment of complete vulnerability, that something happens that he could never force. He wrestles with God. But pay attention to the detail that changes everything. Jacob doesn't win the fight by being stronger. He wins by refusing to let go, even after being injured, even after realizing he has no chance. His victory isn't technical. It's surrender disguised as a fight. He stops trying to control the outcome and simply says, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." It's the first time in his life he admits, "I can't do this alone. I need something that only comes from you." And what does God do? He doesn't immediately remove the external problem. He doesn't make the brother disappear, doesn't erase the past. God changes his name, changes his identity. Jacob, meaning deceiver, becomes Israel, meaning one who wrestles with God and prevails. The obstacle wasn't the brother. It was the false identity Jacob carried, the belief that he needed to deceive to survive. And that belief was only removed when he stopped trying to solve it alone. The Hebrew word used here for wrestle is abak, and it doesn't mean violent combat. It means to stir up dust, to entwine, a close-quarters struggle so intimate you no longer know where one ends and the other begins. It's forced proximity. It's uncomfortable intimacy. It's the opposite of strategic distance, and that's exactly what true rest demands. You need to stop trying to manage God from afar and entwine yourself in the process, even without understanding. Now comes the part that will either free you or offend you, depending on how willing you are to listen. The real cause of your stuckness isn't the obstacle itself. It's the illusion that you need to be the general manager of your own transformation. Data from the HeartMath Institute, which studies heart coherence and states of consciousness, shows that the human heart has a measurable electromagnetic field that expands or contracts depending on emotional state. When you're in anxious control mode, trying to force solutions, the field collapses. When you enter a state of confident surrender, the field expands and literally changes how you interact with your environment. Researchers at Unicamp studying sleep and neurological restoration have discovered that the human brain can only reorganize deep patterns during states of genuine rest. Not the rest of someone who turns off the TV and ruminates on problems, the rest of someone who lets go. During REM sleep, the brain performs a kind of cleanup. It consolidates useful memories, discards useless patterns, reorganizes neural connections. But if you go to sleep in alert mode, the process doesn't happen. Your brain gets stuck in vigilance mode and limiting patterns remain intact. Here's what this means in practice. The obstacle blocking you is etched at a level your conscious mind can't reach. You can make positive affirmations, create new habits, try very hard. But if the root of the pattern is in the subsoil of your nervous system, nothing truly changes. It's like trying to renovate a house with a leak without fixing the plumbing. You paint the wall, and 3 months later the stain returns. Not because you're incompetent, because the problem is at another level. And here enters the concept that will reorganize everything. God doesn't remove obstacles as a random favor. He removes them when the internal structure is ready to sustain what comes next. If you've been stuck for years, it's not punishment, it's preparation. The obstacle is functioning like a weight you can't yet lift. When you try to force it, you get injured. When you rest and let the muscle rebuild, strength comes. But you need to understand what true rest is. It's not taking a vacation and returning to the same pattern. It's not 5 minutes of meditation followed by 12 hours of anxiety. True rest is a spiritual posture. It's when you stop mentally carrying what isn't yours to carry. Let me give you a practical, very Brazilian, very direct example. You have an important project. It could be a business, a relationship, a career change. You've done your part, planned, executed, made the decisions within your control. But there's a variable you don't control. It could be someone else's response, a timing that doesn't depend on you, an unpredictable external factor. Most people do this. They finish the practical part and continue carrying the part they don't control. They ruminate, check, create mental scenarios, Try to anticipate every possible problem. This isn't planning. It's anxiety disguised as responsibility, and the practical effect is that you block the flow. Oxford University studies on decision-making show that excessive mental analysis doesn't improve the quality of choices. It only increases cognitive wear and tear and reduces clarity. You get so busy mentally managing the future that you lose the ability to perceive the doors that are opening now. If you've lived this, type libero in the comments now. This word will function as a spiritual marker, a declaration that you are choosing to let go of what isn't yours to carry. And as you type, pay attention to the next point, because this is where the turnaround happens. There's another biblical figure who shows this from a different angle, Peter. The scene is in Matthew 14. The disciples are in the boat in the middle of the lake, in the early morning facing a storm. Jesus appears walking on the water. Peter asks to come to him and Jesus says, "Come." Peter gets out of the boat and starts walking on the water. It works perfectly until he takes his eyes off Jesus and looks at the wind, at the waves, at the threatening context, and he sinks. The traditional interpretation says Peter sank due to a lack of faith, but look deeper. The Greek text uses the word katapino for sink, which literally means to be swallowed. It's not a slow sinking, it's an abrupt fall, as if the ground disappears beneath his feet. What changed? It wasn't the storm, which remained the same. It wasn't Jesus who was still there. It was Peter's focus. He went from active trust mode to anxious analysis mode. He started mentally trying to manage the impossibility of what he was doing. And the second he tried to understand how it was working, it stopped working. You experience this exact same thing. There are moments when things flow. You're aligned, doors open, connections happen. You feel you're in the right place. And then your rational mind panics. Wait, this shouldn't be working. I don't deserve this. What if it goes wrong? What if it's an illusion? You leave the flow and enter analysis, and you sink, not because God abandoned you, because you traded active trust for anxious control. The Greek word for wind in this passage is anemos, which can also mean spirit or breath. The wind that scared Peter was literal, but symbolically represents everything that is outside your control and seems threatening. When you try to control the wind, you sink. When you accept that the wind is not yours to control and keep your focus on the one who called you, you walk on what should drown you. Let me translate this to your concrete life. That recurring obstacle, that pattern that doesn't change, is the wind. You won't overcome it by analyzing more, planning more, or trying more. You will cross it by keeping your focus on the one who called you to something greater. And this requires a type of rest that Brazilian culture doesn't value. The rest of someone who lets go of the steering wheel without abandoning the car. You don't leave the process. You stop trying to drive alone. Research from the Max Planck Institute on unconscious decision-making reveals that the human brain processes about 11 million bits of information per second, but the conscious mind can only handle about 40 bits. This means that 99.9% of the actual processing happens below your conscious perception. When you try to micromanage everything, you're using 0.1% of your capacity to control 100% of the process. It's unsustainable. It's inefficient. And that's why you get stuck. True rest is when you trust that the 99.9% you don't see are working in your favor, coordinated by an intelligence infinitely greater than yours. It's not passivity, it's strategic delegation. You do your part with excellence, with presence, with responsibility. And you let go of the part that isn't yours without guilt, without anxiety, without needing to control the outcome. And now comes the practical, concrete, applicable solution. How do you do this in real life, in the middle of São Paulo traffic, with a bill overdue, a complicated relationship, a stalled project? First, you identify what is yours and what isn't. Yours is the action that is within your control now. Not yours is the outcome, the other person's response, the timing, the external context. Data from the Getulio Vargas Foundation on productivity and well-being shows that Brazilian professionals who learn to separate these two categories have 40% fewer burnout symptoms and 30% greater effectiveness in long-term projects. Second, you create a ritual of surrender. I'm not talking about empty religiosity. I'm talking about a symbolic act that communicates to your nervous system, I've done my part, and now I'm letting go of what isn't mine. It could be writing on a piece of paper and burning it. It could be a specific prayer before sleep. It could be a walk where you mentally surrender each worry. The format doesn't matter. What matters is that you're creating a clear marker. From now on, I trust. Third, you practice what I call active rest. It's not sleeping 12 hours and waking up ruminating. It's creating micro-moments throughout the day where you let go of control. 3 deep breaths before a difficult meeting. 5 minutes of complete silence after making an important decision. A 10-minute walk without your phone, without a podcast, without distraction, just you and the present. Studies from the HeartMath Institute show that 60 seconds of conscious, intentional breathing can reset the nervous system and completely change how you react to stress. Fourth, and perhaps most importantly, you reframe the narrative of the obstacle. The pattern that blocks you isn't an enemy, it's a teacher. It's not punishment, it's preparation. The Hebrew word for trial is nisayon, which comes from the root nes, meaning banner or sign. The trial isn't meant to destroy you, it's meant to reveal you. Every time you face that pattern, it's not a useless loop. It's a new layer of preparation being removed. You are not failing. You are being refined. Look at the story of Joseph, and here I need you to pay attention in a different way. Joseph was sold into slavery at 17. He spent 13 years imprisoned, falsely accused, forgotten by those he helped, with no sign that God was acting. 13 years. If you think your obstacle is lasting too long, look at this. Joseph wasn't rescued because he deserved it. He deserved it from day one. He was rescued when the timing was right for what God had prepared. The Hebrew word used for the moment Joseph left prison is pachaz, meaning sudden leap. It wasn't a gradual transition. It was an abrupt turnaround. In a single day, he went from prison to the palace. In a single conversation, he went from forgotten to governor. But here's the crucial detail. He wouldn't have had the maturity to govern Egypt at 17. He needed the 13 years in prison, not as punishment, but as a school. The obstacle wasn't blocking the purpose, it was preparing the person. What if your recurring obstacle is exactly that? What if you're not stuck but in training? What if what seems like being stuck is actually foundation laying? Johns Hopkins University studies on resilience show that individuals who face prolonged obstacles and learn to trust the process develop a 60% greater capacity for leadership and clarity of purpose than those with a linear trajectory. The obstacle isn't the opposite of purpose. It's the path. Now subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. This isn't disposable entertainment. It's long-term spiritual formation. Each video I bring is built to help you understand the deep patterns of the spiritual journey. And if you're not subscribed, you're missing the continuity. The red button down there. Hit it now. And activate the bell, because the next video will show you something few realize. What truly happens internally when the obstacle finally falls. You'll see that its removal isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of a greater demand. But before we get there, you need to understand the spiritual mechanics of what God removes when you rest. It's not just the visible problem, it's the invisible root. The Greek word for root in the New Testament is rhiza, and it appears in contexts where Jesus speaks of good and bad trees. A bad tree isn't fixed by cutting off the branches, it's uprooted. But you can't uproot your own root. You can only expose the soil and let God do the deep work. You know that pattern you repeat in relationships? Always choosing the same wrong type of person. It's not a lack of intelligence, it's a root of abandonment, of neediness, of a distorted belief about your own worth that was planted decades ago. You can cut the branches, end toxic relationships, do therapy, set boundaries. But if the root isn't removed, the tree sprouts again. And root removal doesn't happen through analysis. It happens through surrender. You need to stop protecting the wound long enough for God to enter and heal it from the inside out. Data from the Brazilian Federal Council of Psychology shows that about 70% of dysfunctional patterns in adults originate from childhood experiences that created distorted core beliefs. But here's the good news. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself, has no expiration date. Unifesp research shows that even in adults over 60, New neural patterns can be created when there's a combination of three factors: clear intention, consistent repetition, and a positive emotional state. But none of these three factors work if you're in anxious control mode. You need to rest for the brain to have space to reorganize. Let me give you a concrete and uncomfortable example. Have you noticed how there are days when you wake up with inexplicable clarity? Nothing special happened, you didn't read anything new, but you wake up and know exactly what needs to be done. The decision that tormented you for weeks suddenly becomes obvious. The problem that seemed unsolvable suddenly has a clear path. How does this happen? You truly rested. You let go of the problem long enough for the deep intelligence of your being, coordinated by the Spirit, to rearrange the pieces. This isn't magic. It's divine design. Humans were created to operate in cycles of activity and rest, tension and release, focus and surrender. When you break this cycle and try to be in control all the time, you shut down the part of the system that truly solves. Studies from the Institute for Applied Economic Research, IPEA, on productivity in Brazil show that workers who take strategic breaks throughout the day have 25% more creativity and 35% fewer errors than workers who try to maintain continuous concentration. And that's just at the physical level. At the spiritual level, the difference is exponentially greater. The obstacle you're facing now, the one that seems immovable, has an expiration date. It's not permanent, it was temporary from the beginning. The problem is, you're trying to remove it with the wrong tools. It's like trying to open a locked door by pushing with your shoulder when the key is in your pocket. The key is rest, not the passive rest of someone who gives up. The active rest of someone who trusts that God is working at the level you can't see. And when you do this, when you truly let go, something changes. It's not that the obstacle magically disappears the next day. It's that you stop defining it as an obstacle and start seeing it as a device. It was there to teach you something specific, to develop a spiritual muscle you wouldn't have developed any other way, to force you into an intimacy with God you would never have sought if life were easy. And here's the paradox few understand. The obstacle only falls when you stop needing it to fall. When your peace no longer depends on its removal, when you've already learned to live with purpose even with it present, that's exactly when God removes it. Because at that point you're ready for what comes next. You won't use the freedom as an escape. You'll use it as a platform. It'll leave you with a final image. Imagine a butterfly inside a chrysalis. It's ready to fly, but it's trapped. A well-intentioned external observer sees the struggle, feels pity, and decides to help, cuts the chrysalis to facilitate its exit. The butterfly comes out, but its wings are weak, underdeveloped. It will never fly. Why? Because the struggle to break out of the chrysalis is what pumps fluid into the wings and strengthens them. The obstacle wasn't blocking flight, it was preparing for flight. God is not late, He is on time. The obstacle you face is not a system failure, it's part of the design, and its removal happens exactly when you are ready to fly without falling. Your only task now is to stop trying to cut the chrysalis yourself. Rest. Trust. Let the process complete what it began. What was built for you will not fail, and what needs to get out of the way will do so precisely when the internal foundation is solid enough to bear the weight of the blessing. Share this video with someone who is struggling with a recurring obstacle. This message might be the key they've been missing. And stay tuned, because in the next video, I'll show you something that will completely change how you see your story. The part of your story they said was a mistake. God calls it the foundation. You'll discover that the chapter you tried to erase is exactly what God is using as the base for what comes now. Until then.
Attention, you need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life, a guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming, with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you and strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10,000 readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you, who were tired of living in the fog, ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment.